Once upon a time, there was a girl named Dorothy Gale. Ah, yes. Her story is one we all know well. How her life got, literally, turned upside down when a ferocious tornado dropped her in a fantasy land called Oz. She met companions made of straw, tin, and even a beastly lion. Although Dorothy wished for an adventure, the thrill turned out to fall much shorter than her expectations. Dorothy learned lessons of true friendship, being courageous, and most importantly, that there is no place like home. When she returned to Kansas, she cherished the memory of Oz, but was willing to leave it behind to find her own yellow brick road. And she did. She even wrote an autobiography entitled The Wizard of Oz, sharing her story for all of us. Even though she left her past behind, Dorothy never considered the question, what if her past never left her behind? What if she still meant something to Oz? It's been 5 years since Dorothy visited Oz, and she loved her life, truly. She lived comfortably in Kansas, where she knew she belonged. Of course, she sometimes wondered at night, never more than a minute, what she would have become had she stayed. And so she fell asleep, again and again, in her cozy Kansas bed. However, on the other side of the rainbow, the people of Oz dreamed of seeing her face again. They needed to see her face again. Little did Dorothy know that Scarecrow, Tin Man, and Lion, her friends, were assembling a plan to bring her back, to save Oz. Dorothy looked at the Kansas sky. Well, Toto, we might be in for a storm. Her companion sat at her ankles. The sky was yellow, the clouds dark. Wind gusted around her, and she could see the dust devil form in the distance. When she first returned from Oz, she feared the storms. Aunt Em would stroke her hair and assure her she was going to be fine, until her passing last May. Uncle Henry went soon after. Dorothy was all alone. But she wasn't scared anymore. Through the countless tornadoes since then, the house has stayed firm, and when she looked out her window, the endless Kansas cornfields met her eyes. Home. Dorothy went through all of the storm precautions, ones she knew too well. She closed all of the windows, locked all the doors. She made sure to pack a small bag of snacks and water, grabbed an extra blanket, and walked outside to the cellar. The wind picked up. The pair were safely inside the storm cellar. She lit a candle nearby for a light source. She found her makeshift bed on the ground, a few pillows and blankets from the last storm, and lied down. Toto followed and sat in her lap. It was easier to fall asleep. That way she couldn't worry if she wasn't awake. As she laid her head on the pillow, she thought of Oz. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad, Toto, to go back. Oh well. She blew out the candle. Toto's barking awoke her some time after. Goodness, dog, what? She sat up and stretched, listening close to the outside. No wind. It was safe to go back inside the house. However, when she opened the cellar door, it wasn't those infinite cornfields she knew and loved. Her worst fear stood in front of her eyes. She was back in Oz. No. Dorothy blinked, rubbed her eyes, and ran up and down the cellar stairs in disbelief. She went outside and looked at the terrain. She was in Munchkinland. The red and yellow brick road winding like a labyrinth in front of her, the tiny cottages surrounding it. It wasn't the Oz she remembered. No color, not one shred of light. It was dark and cold. The once lively village now gray. Hello? Hello? Toto, what's going on? She found nothing, not one munchkin in their home. She began to run, around the labyrinth and out to the cornfields where she first met Scarecrow. His post was empty. She looked at the crossroads around her. What happened to Oz? She sat down at the side of the road, thinking for a moment. Toto, what do I do? I mean, I'm not supposed to be here, but we can't leave now. Look what's happened. My goodness, for the love, dog, what? She looked up at the sky, seeing the problem. Written in the gray sky, in green smoke, it said, "Save us, Dorothy. Come to the Emerald City." How's that? What is that? This can't It must be. Dorothy walked all the way to the Emerald City. Well, more like ran, her companion canine at her side. The gates that were once heavily guarded with Winky soldiers stood completely empty. What on Oz is going on, Toto? She pushed the gate open further. Her footsteps echoed in the hollow city. She listened for any sound of life, but silence was given in return. She looked to the west, to what once was the witch's castle, now a pile of rubble. They must have destroyed it after her death. The smoke that had summoned Dorothy there was now gone, but there wasn't a soul in sight. Why would they bring her here? She wondered. She continued to walk through the Emerald City. She had to see if the wizard was still there. Only he could help her understand what happened to Oz. She set out for his chamber. When she reached the door, a chill fell down her spine. She gave it a large pull, and the door came open slowly. They walked all the way to the end of the corridor, where she knew the wizard waited. He had to know what happened, and as soon as she figured out, she would ask him to send her home. It looked the same as the last time she visited. The green curtain stood still. "Hello? Wizard?" She jumped, nearly knocking herself over. "Hello? Who's there?" In the blink of an eye, the curtain fell and she shot upwards, the room pitch black around her. She reached around and tried to find anything. She knocked something with her hand. Ow! The candle. She was back in the cellar. She rushed up the stairs and flung the door open, and it was Kansas. The fields, the barn. It was home. But she didn't feel the same contentedness she always did. No, this feeling was far worse. She had to figure out how to go back to Oz.